Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. Welcome back, everybody.
Yay!
We are here for a very special episode.
We have guests.
We have guests on our show with us. So we'd like to introduce them. We have Sir Dante Marcellus.
Sexy Sir Dante Marcellus.
I'm not calling him sexy, sir. He's lucky I call him sir, but that is a respect thing. I will call you Sir Dante Marcellus. And we have his submissive and partner, Zora.
She's so beautiful.
Oh, that's so sweet. I think you're beautiful. Yay.
Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, it is. This is hopefully going to be a blast. We're going to take a little bit deeper dive into dominant submissive lifestyle, intro to domination.
Absolutely. And they have just a little bit of experience with that. Maybe a little bit more than a little.
I can't wait to tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Well, we are excited. So let's get started and dive right into our episode. Sir Dante, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Master Nick. I'm Sir Dante, dominant in the lifestyle. I actually did not get my start in BDSM. I actually got my start in the swinger lifestyle as a single guy.
Okay.
4 or 5 years ago, I was freshly single and kind of putting myself out there, and came across a woman that was in the lifestyle, and that's kind of where it started. And I got involved in the community, the swinger community, and I knew at that moment that there was more to it than just sex. So I started getting involved in local events and local groups, and it kind of grew from there. And then about 2 years ago, I met Zora, and she introduced me to a more formal side of kink.
Isn't it amazing how a submissive can bring out the dominant in you?
We
Right.
don't do that.
What? Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah, we have a lot of back and forth that brings out my aggression and dominance. Before I met her, though, I had those tendencies. I was in the bedroom dominant, kinky. I had various toys and into
What
bondage.
kind of toys? I want to know.
Yes.
Well, the picture, what got her was this picture I sent her when we were chatting of a woman in a set of restraints and a collar around her neck and a leash on her neck, and all you could see was my hand holding the leash.
That
And
pulled
this-
you in, didn't it?
I instantly, as soon as I felt like he was kind of picking up the vibe that I was putting down in the conversation that we were having, but instantly I thought that he had gone to the internet and pulled this picture off, which I was
and
still
stole the picture.
I
Oh,
was
okay.
still impressed that he was understanding what was really turning me on.
Now, I've got to say, I want to see this picture.
And so it's a great picture because
I
as
wanna
soon as he sent it to me, that was the first thing I said, "Is this your picture?" And his response was, "That's my bed. Those are my restraints. That's my hand." And instantly, our conversation changed from just kind of a friendly conversation to there's something else to this guy.
Right.
That's how I
Awesome.
knew.
That is great.
And we started talking more and more about the more formal side of kink, and I knew immediately that this is what I was missing. This is where my experience, my life was going as far as the adult side of things and the sex side of things and the community. I wanted more. I wanted to learn.
Yes.
I wanted to
I know
see all
that.
the things. I wanted to
Yep.
try all the things. And it just skyrocketed from there to where we are now.
That's an amazing story. And again, I can 100% totally relate to that because, again, I had the same thing. I had the tendencies. and I had the kink and I had the fetishes, but I had no idea what even BDSM was
Until he met me.
Until I met
And that
Lady
was like
D.
on the very first date.
Yep. So that is awesome that we kind of have the exact same background and kind of the same story to start where we're at today.
Well, the two of them were just joking that they both got us started
Yes.
in kink.
Yes.
Right.
And
Well,
basically did.
Both of us had kinky experiences before you two. And, what was surprising to me was I knew at that point I didn't want to be messing with anybody that didn't have experience.
Right.
But when I met Sir Dante, it was very obvious that the natural inclinations that he needed to be a
Bingo.
good dominant were there. And so when we did start, I bet you can say the same. When we did start, there was teaching that I did
Oh, yeah.
with Sir Dante. I knew more. But, even he had said to me, look, eventually the roles are going to switch. I'm going to know, and I'm going to lead in this relationship. And absolutely, he had everything that I was looking for. Just he was that diamond in the rough, and
I think
it's
that's even
amazing.
better, to be honest. Master Nick was the same way. And because of their natures, they investigate, they educate,
Research.
they research so that they can be better at what we need. So it's pretty, it kind of leads into previous episodes we've done. I'm a submissive, but if it weren't for me, he wouldn't.
I would not be the
He
dominant I am
wouldn't
today.
be who he is.
Right.
So
So let's talk a little bit about your previous experiences before Sir Dante. There's Zora.
My experiences came when my long-term marriage it kind of ended, fell apart, and I had the opportunity to get out there and explore. And I began to ask myself, what are the kind of experiences I want to have? So it was rather vanilla at first. It was. And so I was just on these apps going, what can I find? And I was really looking for a threesome. That was the first thing I was.
that's the big thing.
Right?
Well, okay, so threesome, two other males, or one male, one female
I
threesome?
was kind of out there trying to just be a unicorn and see what I could get. Okay.
Okay, all
And
right.
I had learned that the word unicorn would
I
get
bet
me
that
places.
didn't last you very long because you're beautiful.
Oh,
so
you're so
it wasn't
sweet.
like you were out there single.
It wasn't long before I met someone and he said, I haven't really done a lot with my wife, but we're looking to kind of get into that. But then there's me.
Right.
And I have very particular tastes. And what I had walked into was a dominant. And that's exactly like all of a sudden he began unpacking. I'm a dominant. I'm looking for a submissive. This is the kind of relationship. These are the kind of rules. And for me, it was like this man had reached inside of that box in my head, my fantasy box that I had tucked away because I couldn't think that anyone would want to do those things with me.
Right.
And he offered them to me in real life. And that was my start. I was hooked. Oh my goodness. It was just some of the most erotic, crazy experiences that I could have.
Was it easier because it was another couple? Did it make that easier introduction or
To be honest,
did it make no difference?
it was a very short-lived thing.
Okay.
It was like a huge bonfire that just lit up and went out. It went out in 10 days. So I had only gotten a taste of it. I never actually got the opportunity to meet his wife in those 10 days. I only interacted with him a few times. And so what happened was it burned out, and then all of a sudden he was my only connection to this world, and I was just lost.
Right.
And it was a moment where I had to kind of do what I should have done in the first place, which is educate and learn. I think it's probably one of the biggest things I would tell anyone getting into the lifestyle is don't do it on your own. You need a community because that's
Yes.
what keeps you within the bounds. That's what lets you know what's good and what's not. And what ended up happening is because I was now missing that, like you said, this piece that I knew that I would forever need.
I have to.
I had to go out there and find it. And that's when I hit FetLife, and that's when I found the community, and that's when things really took off for me. So I was kinky long before I was a swinger.
Right.
Okay, nice. So now we go back a couple of years, and that is the first time we actually met you, Zora, and we met at Club Tempted,
We did.
who has mentioned numerous times throughout our podcast because we do spend so much time there.
What?
But
No.
we met you prior to Sir Dante,
And you starting a relationship.
and you all
Yes.
starting your
It was
relationship. Yes.
So close. We were so close
We were
to
so
having
close
our
to
own
having
unicorn.
our own one, yes.
I snuck in
And then you
at
snuck
the right
in
time.
and stole it from
Yep.
us, you bastard.
It definitely, I think all of us could say we all kind of started a chapter all pretty much at the same
Pretty
time
damn
because
close.
I had just met Sir Dante. And then you guys came along because, of course, I met you in the dungeon.
Yes.
Where else would we
And
be?
so, and you know, when we were talking about this, there's not, I mean, we do remember some details, but I think what we really remember is that was the start of a beautiful friendship because in the
Yes.
last few years, we have gotten to do a lot of things with the
have
two
done
of
a
you.
lot. So we've
And
had house
we
parties.
have. We have.
We've had parties in VIP at club. We was there
Parties
for the
here.
night of your all's collaring.
Yes.
That we're going to get to in here in a little
We
bit.
went to an event
We
together.
went to
Did.
Cincinnati together for a convention, and I know there's going to be more.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
Come.
This
but
is
just
just-
in the 2 years, it has been unreal. And as well as a matter of fact, in that 2 years, so you had actually turned him down a couple of times prior to getting together. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct?
I don't know if I would say turn down.
Okay.
I did have to fight for this one. You know, I was living the single guy life. And
Right.
She understood that and she was living her life. But we knew when we started chatting that there was a deeper connection.
Yes.
We didn't know what it would lead to, but we clicked. I can personally say clicked better than I had with anyone else at the time.
I know that feeling as well.
I kept trying. She canceled on me, kept trying. She canceled on me. Anyone else, I would have stopped. But she had something that intrigued me.
Right.
And at that point, we had talked a little bit about kink, but it wasn't too hot and heavy. But I knew I was going to pursue her.
Right.
And I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
It took that, third date?
It was.
third
it,
scheduled
it was
date
the
before you
third
actually
date,
showed up?
and I was bound and like I wanted to meet him too. I was bound and determined, and it was like life threw several hurdles that night. We were supposed to meet for dinner, and then something came up with my schedule that I just couldn't rearrange. And I was on the phone. I'm like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm coming. What do you want to do?" And so, anyways, we missed dinner, and eventually he was like, "Well, do you want to come straight over to the house?"
And your answer
That's the
was
simple
sure.
that's
And
the
my-
single guy question right
Yes,
there.
I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. But like I said, I had canceled on him a couple times, but I really wanted to meet him because of just our connection
Right.
and the things that we were interested in.
Texting and
Well,
like talking and texting.
absolutely.
Although me and you missed out on our unicorn, I am kind of happy that she made that connection with you because again, we've had a lot of good times and a lot of fun together and we've learned from each other.
Exactly.
I've learned from you, you've learned from me. I think Lady D and Zora have learned a little bit from each other as well.
Absolutely.
So again, I'm glad it turned out the way it did. And I'm very happy, and I'm extremely happy to have you all here so we can pick your brains because there's a lot that goes inside your brain that I am dying to get into. But before we move into that,
Right. We need to talk about some ventures that you guys have started. So to me, we were very lucky to be part of the opening night of your venture. So
Yes.
why don't you tell me a little bit about why it started, how it started, and what it is?
While we're kinky in the bedroom and it's all fun, games and whatnot while you're doing it, we actually take our dynamic and the lifestyle very seriously. And that goes to what we do outside the bedroom. Most of our social life revolves around it in one way or another.
So does ours.
yes,
When we had met, I was at a point in my life where the last house I was at, I was ready to sell. And I wanted to find a place to build what I thought of as like a sex room. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't have plans. It
Did
was
you
just
see
kind of all in my
Netflix
head.
where they had the sex room show?
I did not see that until after I got started.
Okay.
So at the time, I didn't know what that was going to look like. But her and I had just met, and it wasn't, a month or so after we had met that I was looking for another house. And at that time, my mindset started shifting to, I want this to be more kinky. I want this to be a dungeon.
right.
So I found a house with a
versus
wide
a
open.
sex room.
Right.
Got it.
So I found a house with a wide open, unfinished basement. I looked and I looked and I looked, and I finally found the place that I wanted that had this huge basement that I could create this space in.
Right.
I don't have a lot of background in construction, but I know my way around tools enough to figure it out. So between that and YouTube,
YouTube is great.
We
Over-
live on YouTube sometimes.
over the next year, I built what I like to call luxurious and
Oh,
unique
it is.
dungeon in my basement.
It's beautiful.
And I am very proud of it.
We're a little bit jealous
You
because
should
we
be.
have the stuff here, but we don't have the same environment. Like, we love our place. We have a dungeon. We've used it in parties, but your dungeon is
The feeling when you go in there and you shut the doors, time stands still.
It does.
it does.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
whole nother
Except,
world.
except it actually fucking doesn't stand still.
No.
Which means
Because
we're
you turn
very
around
tired.
and it's 2
Right.
or 3
Well, we
o'clock in the morning.
rent whenever
Yes.
we come out by you guys. We normally get a hotel room.
Yes,
because
we know I'm not driving home that late at night.
right.
It's
and,
usually,
and
yeah,
it's just a
early
little
in
bit
the morning.
easier. I mean, not that we couldn't stay with you guys. You guys love us. We know.
Of course you-
because we know it's a time. It's
So let me try to paint just a little bit of a picture of your dungeon from my perspective, and we will have pictures of your dungeon up on our website on our podcast tab. But behind a set of bookshelves
That was the one thing I knew for sure
that you wanted.
Explain it.
before I even knew it was going to be a dungeon. Was it was going to be behind bookcase doors. So
I've
they're
got to say
two
And what
That's-
is what is the name of it?
Ex Libris.
Ex Libris. Now I always think I say it wrong, and I think originally I was saying it wrong. You go downstairs into their basement to what's like a
You
Oh,
have
like
a
a
beautiful
sitting
like
room.
it's
It's
a sitting room, yes.
Yeah.
and it is
Even
very
that.
it is very comforting. It is
Very
very
vanilla.
peace, but it is it is vanilla. But behind you open up these bookcases, and immediately you notice the accent lighting that you have up towards the top of the ceiling, and the most beautiful wallpaper that I've ever seen.
Right.
And immediately the first thing you see when they is the cross that is it is beautiful in its own.
right.
Shout out to Downtown Willie
Downtown Willie from FetLife.
from FetLife.
Yes.
He's a master craftsman.
Oh,
He's been
it's
doing this
so
for
amazing.
decades. And I found him when I saw his work. I knew that needed to be in the space.
Well, I'm telling you, that cross is completely lined and got cushion on everything. It's got the little metal studs that accent it.
But on the flip side, the reason ours is not is because we have to collapse ours.
Yeah, ours has to be
Right.
We have an
Right,
Airbnb.
absolutely.
We got to put this stuff up.
But then over in the right corner is your spanking bench that looks identical to the cross, same
Yep,
wrap,
it's a matching set.
It's a matching set, and it is
Oh,
it's
that-
so elegant.
It is.
And then you turn to the bed. Tell us what all you've done for the bed.
The bed is a Cali King full dungeon bed. So it has
it's got the four posts.
It's actually 3-inch steel beam
Okay.
all the way around the entire frame.
Yes.
There's hard points all throughout the top, the bottom, the sides.
how
If
many
you can
women
dream
have
it,
we had on there? Can you
There was like
give a guess how
There
many?
was at least
One.
8 in one night.
one. I'm just kidding.
Liar.
In terms of the subbies all being on the beds.
There was at least 8 or 9
Yeah,
that
there was
night
at least
that when
8.
we were doing the boudoir shoot. That there was at least 8 or 9 on that bed together. That's how big it is.
But you've got some kind of like sheer curtains or something around the
Yes,
sides.
you know, we had to dress it up just because, like you said,
Right.
the whole place is elegant. So we found
a drapery,
a drapery, a window
tapestry,
drapery,
you know,
Right.
the whole
drapery.
set. The color scheme is black and silver, so the drapery is black and silver and elegant
Right.
with the fancy designs and the
Yeah,
whole
but your
nine.
accent lighting can be any color. Like, you've got how many variations of colors? It's
Any color
awesome.
under the rainbow,
Because
sure.
we almost every picture we have posted
It has to be green for me.
but it has like for our event that we did on May 17th at Club Tempted, all of the pictures of all of the dominants were standing in your
Right. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we had done a photo shoot prior to
With
the
who?
demo. So yes, huge shout out to, I know one of you have many photographers, but in particular, the one that I've met and the one that I fell in love with on his photography is Sean Steiger
Yes,
at
with-
Ive Steiger Photography.
He's
Correct.
amazing.
And he is located in Shepherdsville.
Yeah, I worked with him before I even built the space when I was kind of getting into kink, and there was a guy, him and another guy who does body painting, wanted to do.
He does the
guy-
body painting or the photography for it.
The other, not
He does the photography
Yes.
for
photography.
the gentleman that does
Got
the
it.
body painting.
Yes.
they worked together, so they basically wanted me to come, and because they hadn't had many guys yet,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm open enough to try something like that.
Oh, and you have a good body.
And actually, well, thank you.
Just in case y'all
You're
are wondering,
welcome.
he works out.
A lot.
One of the pictures we got from that photo shoot I did with them that first time is hanging on the dungeon wall next to
Right.
Lucy's
That
wall.
was
I've
what I was
seen
going to
that
say.
one,
The
yes.
pictures inside of the dungeon are pretty revealing.
Yeah, they're all of us.
Yes.
Yes.
The other 5, either Zora or myself, have taken.
It's
and have-
amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely Ive the Steiger. You can find him on Facebook. Feel free to reach out and we'll help you with the contact.
He's
on that.
good with all different kinds.
He
like,
does weddings and any kind of event you have that you want photography, he will do.
And he's a great guy to make you feel comfortable and have a good time during your photo
I
shoot,
mean,
whatever
it's
it is.
really
amazing.
hard, I would assume, to do boudoir photography. I would assume. Like, because you're trying to look good, but he has, especially when you're seeing the kinkier side of stuff, he has an amazing attitude and sense of humor.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what. Well,
All right, so tell us more about your ex Libris.
Hold on, there's one more piece to that bed that you added to. What was the final accent you done for that bed?
Ah, yes. I almost forgot about that
Yes, you
because
did.
I had originally put the bed in, and it wasn't very long after that because I had already had the space open that there needed to be more to the bed. It was clear
Yes,
that the bed
there
was kind of
was.
plain. So we did the draperies all the way around and whatnot. And then I added mirrors,
Exactly.
2 large mirrors
Got the mirrors
hung
on
right on
Above.
the ceiling,
Yep.
right above it.
And there's been some amazing photography to come from the mirrors. as
Everyone
well.
loves those mirrors.
Yeah.
They are
It's a lot
great.
of fun.
Yes.
So what the dungeon is for you guys, but what else are you doing? Why is it a business venture?
So when we were building, at the same time, we were doing a lot of learning, but also putting our experience out there. So we had done a demo at Club Tempted on impact and wax. And we had an idea of continuing that within our own space. Once you kind of get into the legalities of it in the area I am, it's not, essentially it's considered sex work, what we had in mind. So we decided
That's a little bit
against that.
crazy.
Right. But we didn't even want to mess with that gray area or whatnot. So what we kind of settled on was a photography studio, and the photographers and the clients that come in absolutely love it. There is nothing else like it nearby that's being offered.
You've
For
given us a
photography.
lot of different ideas by the things you've done that I'm looking at for our space. Like our space is kind of a blank canvas, but I could easily swap out pictures. We're talking about on that back wall, he wants to do like an
One of the
alligator print.
alligator skin wallpaper.
Like feeling, and we could do that and have it as Airbnb. It wouldn't make one bit of difference.
Right.
But it would be a great accent when we have 2
So
lovely,
you've-
beautiful ladies tied up to the chains that is hanging from the ceiling
Are you talking about the near future, like in the next couple hours?
for a next episode, maybe.
But he's not going to have it wallpapered yet.
Yeah, it's not
I'm
gonna be
just saying.
wallpaper.
We're just going to have to.
So you do have ex libris and you do offer boudoir photography.
Correct.
How does
That is
how
our-
does
how do-
somebody
how do people
contact
find
you?
you?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, Ex Libris Photo, Ex Libris Studios, Ex Libris Photography, anything. If you search for any of those, you'll find me. The picture is a cross or a bench, or it'll be very clear that you're in the right space.
And you do have a lot of photography pictures from the boudoir photographies on Instagram and Facebook.
Correct.
And you
do
have
share
so
some
many
of that.
props there, like for the boudoir photography.
That's what draws people. We draw everyone from a vanilla crowd to people that are involved in kink. And we have a variety of props that people can use, from floggers and whips and canes and chains and restraints and whatever you can kind of think of, and all that is offered as part of the.
Plus, the bed is all black. It sets off photography beautifully.
Yes.
Right.
And we've been fortunate to have several photographers in this area, and each one of them, when they come in, kind of brings their own spin on things, their own taste. I mean, depending on what you're trying to accomplish, we can probably recommend a photographer
Right,
for you.
photographer, right.
And yeah,
Right.
And I've only met the one.
Which is why we didn't, he's
I have
amazing.
seen the
but
pictures that he has done, not only for us, but also up there. But I've also noticed there's tons of other photographers that have been there.
Our
I
Fet
don't-
Life picture.
Yeah,
My
I don't
Fet Life
personally,
picture.
I don't personally know any of the other ones, but I did want to give a shout out to Sean over at Eye of the Tiger. So let's move on into dominance, and let's dig a little deeper into the
No,
dominant
I was
side
trying to avoid
of
that. We're
Sir
going to talk about
Dante.
subs, submissives,
Sorry,
subbies.
Lady D. I don't think that's on.
That's
the
not on
list
this
today.
agenda.
we
No,
just
it's-
said that you guys don't exist unless there's us. So you're gonna have to talk about us at some point.
We may put together a submissive podcast.
No,
one
no,
day.
no. Like my beautiful Master Nick.
Beautiful.
I mean, sexy,
Handsome.
wonderful,
Okay,
amazing.
there you go. Continue
Great.
on now.
I see a punishment in the future.
All right, I'm going to zip my mouth now. Forget it.
All right, so moving on into dominance, and there is some submissive questions in here as well because we want to learn a little more about both of you. But so I guess one of the main questions, one of the very first questions I want to ask is, do you all live your DS lifestyle 24/7?
In short, yes, but I think there's a lot to unwrap there.
Okay.
We're parents. We have jobs. We have
Absolutely.
mundane adult responsibilities, and you can't always mix the two. I can't pull her into a kid's soccer game in a leash and collar, right? As much as
You
I,
could.
I could.
It's frowned
Could,
upon.
but it is kind of frowned
Right,
upon. yes.
right. So
Trying to explain that to all the vanilla people.
Right?
beyond that, our social life revolves around kink in some way or another.
Yes.
And then our dynamic, I would say, is always in play. Some days you do more of it.
Right.
Some days you don't. Maybe periods of time you're more into it. And then maybe there's a lull. We've had a lull before where just life takes over. But
Yes.
it's always there.
Right. And like me and you discussed earlier while floating out in the pool, you know, you either do it or you say you do it 24/7. Nobody's calculating. We do it 16/4.
Right.
Or any of that stuff. So it is a lifestyle that you can pick and choose when you do dominant, submissive stuff. But once you are in it, you're basically 24/7. Because at any time you could pull out a task or something that needs to be done.
Well,
So-
and we got lucky because of the lifestyle part of it that whenever we do social stuff, it is with our kink family. Like that's what we do. I'm not choosing. I have nothing against people that are not kinky, but even our not kinky friends
We still talk
ask
about it.
us
Yeah, we still talk
about our
about it all
kinky
the
lifestyle.
We
They're
still talk about it a
interested
lot.
in some way.
So with you talking about, both of you have jobs, you have kids and all this. So how do you balance your day-to-day life and the lifestyle?
It's hard to always strike that perfect balance. I can think back to that first year we were together. We were hot and heavy. We were
Right.
doing scenes
It was
left
new,
and right.
it was
It was
fresh.
new,
Oh, yeah.
exciting, right?
Honeymoon period.
Yes.
Right. And then over time, especially as I was building Ex Libris, I mean, that took over a year to build.
We saw all the videos of you
Right.
just like wandering around the room doing nothing.
all the time lapses
In
where it didn't
time
look like I was doing anything. Yeah.
And that was really a divide and conquer. So he was downstairs a lot putting that together. And so I was busy upstairs making sure that our life went around. And so
Right.
that
Right.
did take a lot of time and effort for both of us, you know.
Exactly.
The point with that is we realized there was a lull. We realized we weren't giving each other what we needed through the dynamic, and we understood why, but we're able to communicate about it.
Exactly.
We weren't mad or upset or
So
anything.
I want to stop you right there. For the listeners, you heard what he said. Me and Lady D have been saying it for every episode. You just heard Sir Dante say the exact same thing. Communicate.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that we definitely want to get out to our listeners.
It may not-
Communication is the biggest thing.
Even when it's
in this
not
lifestyle.
important, even when it's not a part of your life currently, you have to communicate that. Like if this were the setting of our lives forever, if you were going to be busy in project after project and you, Zora, were not getting your submissive needs met, it would be a problem if you didn't communicate and understand where you were at.
And then also taking intentional effort to remedy it, because we both still wanted it. We both still want it and will for, as far as I know,
Ever.
forever.
Always.
You have to put in that intentional effort
Yes.
to bring it back or to show that you really want it. And that goes a long way. That shows her how serious I am about, yes, we're still in this. I'm still your dominant. This is still what we're doing.
Right. And you would agree it's like a second full-time job, right?
Oh, 2 or 3 of them together.
I tell people that all the time, and they're like, "What, really? Why do you do it?" And I'm like, "Well, because it's fucking fun. That's
Right.
why." I mean, it is an ego booster for one. I know that I would not be able to do any of this if she wasn't willing to give up all control and submit. But on the flip side of that, you kind of put that part of aspect. I mean, it's a huge ego booster. You know, I can strut my ass around anywhere we go, going at the snap of my fingers. She could do this if I wanted her to. You know, so I mean, that's just one of the parts that I really like about it right there. And the second part is I can put her in any damn sex position I want at any given time. And what guy doesn't want that?
Right.
You can relive your wildest porno flick. You can relive it
Day after day.
If your experiences were like mine, the pornos, I don't see how the hell they do it, but you can still relive it and conquer that.
All right. So another question. Do you guys have a contract or do you not have a contract?
When we had the grand reveal of Ex Libris, it was a huge party.
A huge party.
It was huge. It was great. But what she did not know at the time was I had been working on a contract and kind of it almost came out of necessity because we had so many, I would say, not just rules, just like
Tasks,
expectations, tasks, rules that we couldn't keep up with them all.
No, we couldn't
We
remember them
couldn't
all.
remember them all. So it needed to be written down. It needed to be formalized. We needed to be on the same page. So I was working on this contract for a couple months before our grand reveal. And at the grand reveal, while everyone listened to me give a 7-minute speech before I opened the doors,
And yeah, I would say, and y'all said I have all the words.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, sometimes he has all the words.
He had them that night for sure.
so that night, just before I opened the doors, I presented her with a contract and the collar she is wearing right now. She was already collared, but I got her a gift of a new collar. And so now we actually have it right here in front of me. A living document is what we call it.
And
Oh, that's good. I like that.
just to
living
explain
document.
to the listeners. So
It's in a binder.
this binder he
It's
has
big.
that's laying in front of us is huge,
Leather bound.
leather bound. It is
With
nice
tabs.
looking.
They have
got the
divider
in it.
tabs.
Oh, they're color coded.
Oh, it's beautiful.
That is.
Why doesn't our contract look like that?
Because we didn't go that deep into it, but maybe we need to rethink
Oh,
our
that's
contract.
beautiful. Like even the printing around it.
Oh, I
It's-
found specialty paper to print it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
It's
We're a little extra.
we are extra, but it's special.
It is.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
is
it's
special.
very special. So that's why we have the paper that
I mean,
we have.
ours
but
is
yeah.
about 8 pages long. I've got mine stapled together, and it's in my backpack that I take to and from work every day. So it's always there, but it is nothing like that.
It's nothing like that. I want that.
So is there dominant submissive scenarios every day, like scenes or tasks that you all do?
That kind of goes back to living it 24/7 and how there's ups and downs. She doesn't have a daily task. I know on a previous episode you have talked about some of her daily tasks. She has weekly task or twice a week task, weekly task, monthly task, kind of a wide variety of things.
Okay.
Some of them are kind of the sexy picture, flirty type stuff.
Right.
Some of them are related to Ex Libris and the cleaning down there. Some of them are related to her collars. And then we also have tasks that, if X happens, she has to do Y. And that may not be a weekly thing. It might be once in a blue moon. And that's another reason why we need to write it down.
Right.
So we don't forget it, which
Which
she
we
forgets.
discussion
I was
in
gonna
the
say we
pool.
Let's be
we
honest.
still forget sometimes because it is a very large.
It would be hard to memorize and know all that.
But that's also what's really great about our contracts. We call it a living document because we acknowledge the fact that we know that we couldn't have possibly anticipated every situation that we
Correct.
would have. So we have a whole system in place whereby we can evaluate a rule that's already there. Maybe it needs changed, or maybe we need to add something to it. So we have a whole process where we can, once again, kind of come to the table, negotiate, agree, and then make it part of our.
So is there a form you have to fill out when a punishment you don't like? Do you fill the form out and present it to Sir Dante and say, we need to bring this to the board of advisors or something?
I was
yes.
He is flipping
course
through
you
his
do.
binder.
Of course
Contract
you do.
change form. I love it.
Yeah, we actually
I
do
love
have a
it.
change form, and it has to be submitted in triplicate and everything.
I don't want one of those, Master Nick. I will
love
gladly do sexual favors to not have a submit form.
I'm going to hold you to that.
But I know we joke about it, but I do really want to make a point about it is I mentioned it's a living document. So there's things that are going to change and scenarios you don't come across ever until you do come across them, and you have to change something in the contract or add or remove.
Right.
So it's very important, again, back to the communication and constant work at it and why it is a full-time job. When something comes up and you need to renegotiate part of the contract, that's kind of the point of it. That's
Right.
the formal way
I
that we
would
bring
agree
it
with
up.
So I have a question, Zora. Since we've talked about the contract a little bit, is he strict on rules or lenient?
Hold on. I'm going to take this one.
Oh no!
It was my turn.
Oh no!
You'll get
Yeah.
your chance. You have all the words. Let me have a few right now. Thank you.
Do you feel like
You like it? didn't you?
Yes.
Do you feel like you're strict or lenient?
I am what I would call black and white.
Ooh.
This is the rule. This is the punishment if the rule's not followed.
No.
So in that term, those terms, yes. If you consider that strict, yes.
I
Because
do.
we've agreed to these rules, these boundaries, these expectations,
I
and if
like
they're
it.
not followed, these are the punishments.
I wish we hadn't had this conversation.
I like that.
You and I, Master Nick, will talk later
We'll have
about
to get
that.
together
Yeah.
later. Yeah, definitely.
But I'll let Zora chime in a little bit on that.
So when
So
No.
I'm going to have to stop you right there, Miss Zora, because unfortunately, we're running out of time.
okay,
So for the next episode, we're going to leave you right here, and we'll come back on our next episode for Zora to answer that question.
Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.